Hey everyone, Stiga here, and welcome back to the second episode of my City Skylines 2 series. This city has not yet been named. I think for now I'm going to call it Dalefield, which is somewhat generic, but I just can't really come up with anything at the moment, and I mean this city is probably not going to last forever. Anyway, I was thinking before we go on and build out a whole bunch of suburbs and things, I should really get down packed kind of like the wider road network of the surrounding area. Obviously, this one's kind of heading over that way to go around that hill and wherever that goes to, or I mean at least get to the edge of the map. But then beyond that, it's not really my problem. So if we take this expansion permit and then go those three. How much does this cost? 25,000. That's quite cheap considering that we have quite a lot of money here. I'm just gonna go straight line from here onwards. Gonna have to buy the tiles next to it, but I was expecting that that would be the case. Should also check the gradients because that is something that I'm nitpicky about but haven't been looking at. So there's that little ditch there which could possibly be evened out a little bit, but it's okay. So I think kind of in the immediate term I'm just going to expand as needed, because obviously this area here is quite close to the edge of the map. I might expand this road as the one that sort of heads out in this general direction, but that is going to require moving stuff, so I'll just worry about that in a later stage. I think we can do maybe some sort of smaller local streets coming off this road, and if we then use this road as like our main road coming out here, trying to work out what's sort of best for both the scale of my city and my future ambitions. So if we come out to here, go like 400 meters, let's say, or I might go 300 in this direction, or that 296 again that I did before. Then have parallel road here. So then we've kind of got somewhat balanced out in directions coming out from this area here, and this can sort of be like the main road for this area, and we'll come back and just have like a large grid, and then through here we'll do things differently because the basically the width of the roads wouldn't really work out, so we just go like that. So let's see, 3, that's 5, that's 5. So I might just zone this out and then come back. Alright, so apart from some areas that are affected by ground pollution, this area has now built up. So let's see how our city is sitting at now. Healthcare, good. Recycling, garbage production, recycling, etc. We don't have anything, so it's probably a good idea if we did something about that. For now, I'm just going to put it down the end of this road. I mean, we have it here, so we might as well utilize the fact that we have land that's far away from the city. Alright, so let's see, area tool, that's what we want. So just click and drag. I swear I was trying that before, but it wasn't working. That's quite a large landfill. It also looks a little bit silly that it's like semicircular, but I'm not going to complain about that too much. It serves its purpose, and it has all the required utilities servicing it somehow. So we currently have demand for virtually everything, so now might be a good time to expand in this direction and build a little bit more of the town, mainly for industrial. We'll see what comes of it. It's probably about this point where it's straight ahead and it's heading to the ocean, so at some point it needs to bend, but that can be done a little bit further on so it's not imminent. That gives us like, I don't know, a couple of 100 meters to work with, at least 700 meters more. So expand out this parallel road. Actually, I want to use this for purpose of working out how long the block should be. So if we go 240, so I don't want them all being exactly the same. So we've got that, we've got another parallel road behind it, which actually that could possibly end. And we could do this. And I don't know how well that's going to fit. It just doesn't fit. Actually, I could make this block just a touch smaller. That way these line up. Although, I mean, we don't necessarily need these to be such big blocks, but kind of want them to be. But if we did this, and then we come through here like that, and you've got these slightly narrower blocks, and delete the stuff that is now no longer required, and this block can be industrial as well. So if we go from here, this block can be 360 meters. Okay, so I also want to save space for a park, but have I unlocked those yet? Parks and Rec, Grand Village is what I need to reach, and I'm about halfway there, so I need to wait a while for that, but can certainly do other things in the meantime. Also, I need to think about beautifying this place. So, can put trees along this segment, and we put grass along that segment too, thereby also banning parking on that side. Alright, now let's zone up this whole area with the same method as before. So if we go... Actually, these ones can go facing that way, I think. That way there's a bit of variety and amongst the monotony. These ones can be a little bit denser even. And what happens with the one like that size? Yeah, it seems to prefer two ones that are like too wide rather than previous sizes. And this is just really awkward along the coastline here. So if we leave that for some future part, then we can go 3, and that gives us a little bit of space to do like a vegetation buffer around the back before it hits like the water's edge, and then come along and see what this gives us. Yeah, that looks horrifying. I'm sorry, but that just does not look very realistic. There's the amount of land that needs to be filled in there. So I might, at least with this one, I'm going to destroy it and rebuild it so it doesn't jut out as much. Oh well, I really want to unlock the parks or something so we have a bit more to provide our people with. To be fair, I don't have a fire station or anything, but my city budget is not doing so well, so I shouldn't get too ahead of myself. Because the current expenses are quite far in the red if it weren't for the government subsidies. I mean, I still have a lot of money to chew through as well, so I've got to remind myself of that too, that I'm not going to run dry simply because I didn't save enough money. Alright, so by the looks of it, we also need to add some more commercial into the city, so just gonna go ahead and destroy a whole bunch of people's homes without a care in the world. Actually, we could do some narrow ones along there. So if we go 2, 3, 2, 2, and 2, and then likewise along this other side, also extend that out a bit more. That corner one can be like that, can be like that. I have to say, all these buildings look like very modern. I was kind of hoping for like a mix of older style buildings and newer style buildings, but most of them are sort of quite modern. And I might use this area to expand the industrial a little bit, so that sort of downwind part. Looks like we might be getting close to winter. Oh yeah, because if I'm in the southern hemisphere and it's May, then that means it's the end of autumn, right? I should know this because I live in the southern hemisphere, but I'm just thinking out loud. I might also put some trees down if I can. Vegetation. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, our town is looking very much like a town now anyway. Not just this random little strip of houses along the road. Still got quite a bit of area that we can build out to though, but that's good. It'd be good. Oh, I just reached the Grand Village milestone. What I've got unlocked here, District Creation Tool, which the size of the city is still somewhat irrelevant to create individual districts, but there's some other things in there too, like policies, low rent housing, low density office, forestry, etc, etc, etc. So it'd be good to work with all those extra bits and pieces. So in amongst that we unlocked parks, so let's go in and add one or several in along this area here where I was mentioning before that I'd add them in. This'll do. Just add a few of these along here. I know it's a bit too uniform, but might change it so that they all line up nicely. And this one can go here and shift these along. And the final one go in here, perhaps facing the other way. That looks a bit monotonous, but it's the best I can do for the moment. I also want to add some trees along this little bit along the ledge, so I'll go in and do that too. And there we go, so hopefully these grow up into something a bit nicer looking. These ones along this edge I might remove later if they don't look quite right, because it's a bit of an odd spot to be putting them, but it's a little bit harder because you gotta wait for the trees to grow rather than just seeing the final product, which is a bit annoying. I wish there was some way that could be disabled or something, but there's not at this stage. Anyway, we've got quite high demand for almost every zoning type, so I'm just thinking about what to do first. So we've got our commercial strip down here, and these few medium density residential. So for the minute, I might start expanding out into these ones which I've built. Just go through and do some parallel roads. Might again go a bit narrower, so if we do that. No, actually I don't like that because otherwise they'll be too small that you won't get those deep lots. But I can do the 2x2 lots rather than 2x6 lots rather than 3x6 to make it seem a little bit more compact. And we can go from there to there. And that seems to be working okay, and if we just go through and zone this up really quick. So now I should probably have actually added a park into this area because it's quite monotonous, just lots of houses. I'd also add a park in here somewhere if I can, just to provide more amenities for the people that made the mistake of choosing to live here. So we've got one park there, and let's do another park. We've got one there, one down there, and let's do another one in amongst all this somewhere. Perhaps here on that part that I didn't really like that much. Okay, So there we go. The newest suburb of our city is slowly growing, and now let's move over to okay, we've still got a lot of demand for everything, but let's see. Unoccupied buildings, unoccupied buildings. So we do need some industrial and office, I think, to keep the city balanced. So I might just add in like one small office down here. Also, we could expand out the industrial a bit more. I just want to be wary that I'm not building too far just for this industrial, because it's not going to reflect the main function of the city forever. But if we did, I think it was 240 for this one. Oh no, 192. But we can probably go up to like 300, 360. I might just pull that back a bit. And then into our main road. So we go here, and then 360, or what's that, 464, that's quite long, but 360 is definitely doable. There's just also like no real reason for any of these grids not to be like perfectly aligned, since there is really no prohibiting natural features in this area. The mountains kind of look a bit too uniform. It's just kind of like almost like an ice cream and an ice cream cone sort of pointing out from the cone, rather than sort of a natural variation in the snow heights. Okay, how do I want to do these blocks? Because they're not exactly perfectly thick. Then they're going to be quite dense lots, but it will work. And part of that's going to be a matter of extending the industrial in this one here, and that one, and fill this up to here with industrial as well. And another thing I should do before I get too carried away is think a bit more about the other sort of major roads in the area. There's not really many destinations that people could go, but it would be good if we had a road that heads in this general direction, although, I mean, this whole map is really quite, like, moderately hilly at least, but I think a road heading into sort of this area here would be a good idea. So if we reverse engineer from here back to the city, we get something coming out like that. So if we then go from, say, this intersection here, head out in that general direction, and aim for about this point here, does that seem to line up pretty well with sort of the direction that I was heading? And I think the grid system out in this direction is fine for the moment. Maybe at some point one of these roads will fork off and bend out slightly further, or become less of a major road and just terminate somewhere. Probably not going to build out much in this direction for the rest of the episode, but it's just sort of laying the groundwork for future development of the city. And I think I was planning to have this road as the main road out in this direction, but we're just going to extend that out and see sort of where it's heading if we keep going. So it's basically heading just sort of on the edge of that bit there, and at that point it's ocean, so it won't really matter too much. Then if we have this road, and perhaps follow the coastline or river banks for a little bit, should I say. But if we come around there and straighten up for a wee way, I'll just leave it like that because I don't think I'm going to build out any further than there in today's episode. And this can be like our main road in this sort of direction, because it's about nearly half a kilometre, 400 meters exactly. So that can run parallel to the main road, just as sort of a local collector road. just serving sort of the local function and connecting up with these grids, but also because it's a grid system, people have other options if they so choose, or the traffic AI sees that there's less traffic on these parallel streets, it might just take that instead, which isn't really too much of a problem, to be fair, in my mind. I think I also need to put in a fire station, so I should do that sort of on the main street before I forget about it. And for this one I'm going to do, let's see, so if the houses are on that side, I kind of want to repeat that along this direction as well. So if we go, perhaps it's a pollution here. Yeah, it seems to just be isolated to that one area, so we'll see if we can deal with that in some future point in time, but for now I'm just going to zone the rest of these up and see if people want to live in the rest of this area. And so just as winter has passed, we've reached the tiny town milestone. This one unlocks further loan limits, mixed housing, vegetable farming, a few other things, communications, the mailbox, the post office, the radio mast. Okay, we have an abandoned office, I think this one was? Yeah, office, because it's purple. So we'll see. Oh yeah, you can see like even the billboards say your company is like abandoned, or you can advertise there because you work at that place, I guess. Anyway, maybe it's time we started thinking about adding in a high school. I'll see how much land this takes up, because just looking at that alone, it's quite a big building, but I think on the street it makes sense, as if it's going to be the main road, then having a high school there is probably also a good choice, and the sports field is quite large as well, so I think that just fits within the road. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that a sports field is quite large, because it's got to fit like a 100-meter, field for whatever sport they're choosing to play there. Okay, so that's like just doable. I might actually lower the road just a touch in that location so that it doesn't make such a big sort of retaining wall. So if I take that down by say 2.5 meters here, try and maintain like a reasonable gradient, and do the same up to this point here. Actually no, we don't need to be doing that to there. I might just bring this down right from here. Okay, the one thing that annoys me is, what's the point in telling me the gradient if it's going to make a hill like this? Because that's definitely not how I was intending to build the road. So if we go down 2.5, that still does that. Okay, let me try that again. Right, we finally sort of got something that I'm mostly happy with. So you're only like just on the order of getting this cliff texture showing up here. So it's not too steep and it's somewhat believable. Anyway, I think we've made some pretty good progress, so I might leave it there for now and call it at that for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.